Good afternoon and welcome. For those of you that don't know me, I am Luis Alvarez, President and CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. And I am here today with Garrett Stone from one of our vendor partners, Deep Sentinel. And we're excited to talk to you about their technology and really their whole system for helping prevent crime and stop vandalism and those sorts of things. And I'll let Garrett talk about that in just a few seconds, but while we're waiting for others to show up, I just want to invite everybody to, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom to post those questions. We'll be happy to answer them during the webinar. If you do have a question you prefer to ask verbally, there's a button that lets you raise your hand, and then I can actually turn on your microphone for you. This webinar is also being recorded and will be made available to you to circulate to people that may not have been able to attend but are interested in seeing the technology in action. So with that, I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to Garrett. Garrett, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I think we have some great information for you guys today. I'm excited to kind of share with you what you have available in terms of technology and this security solution that you have through our partnership with Alvarez Technology Group and what it's really capable of. So with that being said, I'll get right into it and start with a kind of a brief introduction on what it is and how it works. So we take a very unique approach to security compared to traditional alarm and camera products that are out there on the market. Mainly because typically those traditional systems, alarms especially, are almost entirely reactive solutions. So you do get notified, but it's not until after something has happened in almost every case, right? Someone's breached the front door, they've gotten in through a window and a sensor triggers. But at that point, the person has already theoretically, made their way into the business, for example, and a smash and grab, if you will, does not take very long to execute. So oftentimes, it's a little bit too late. Whereas our solution is an entirely proactive crime prevention system. So we're here to actually stop the criminal activity before it happens. And this extends out beyond the boundary of the property, beyond the front door of the business. And we're able to protect out into the parking lot, out around the business, not just for breaking and entering, but vandalism, loitering, trespassing, auto burglary, and auto theft are things that we are, through this solution that we offer with Alvarez, are uniquely positioned to stop and prevent. So how that works is through an AI detection system and our live guard service. So at the end of the day, what this is an actual monitored security system where you have live guards on duty protecting the business and are able to intervene when our AI detects a human or a vehicle. Our guards are able to engage in seconds and monitor that property for you. They're able to, recognize body language. They're able to spot suspicious activity, and they're able to interact through the loud two-way audio on each of our cameras. Right. So the way that works is we pick up any motion around the property, and it's going to stream that video to a live guard in under 5 seconds. Right. Part of our kind of secret sauce here is the fact that you have motion to guards' eyes on the property in under 5 seconds, which is, in most cases, when something like that is happening, every second counts, especially if someone's trying to very quickly get in and do a smash and grab, for example. We have a very, very good track record with that because we're able to intervene so quickly and talk the perpetrators down, get them off the property, or in extreme cases where we need to, obviously involve law enforcement if we have to. But our guards are highly trained, and I'll get into some of the methods that we use in a few slides, where we are trained in de-escalation, and our guards are able to obviously solve most things before the need to involve local law enforcement. Now, obviously, if there is a crime in progress and they are, smashing a window and they don't, they aren't deterred and they don't stop, at that point, yes, we are going to loop in the law enforcement. Typically our police response rate is verified at 100% because you actually have a live guard there talking them through a crime in progress, as opposed to, a situation where it's an automated alarm trigger, which can, as we all know, can have a lot of false alarms. So our response rate is very good because, again, you have that live human guard talking them through a crime in progress. So again, speed is the key there, from motion to eyes on in under 5 seconds. If you're set up optimally, I've seen it under 3 seconds. It's extremely fast. And part of that is the way we vertically integrate the technology, which I'll get into in a little bit, with the way the AI is actually living on-prem in the hub unit that's plugged into the network. So it's not a cloud service, and that's intentional because we want to go from motion to guard as quickly as possible. And that's part of it, right? So you'd place your cameras at visible entry points around the perimeter, overlooking entrances, windows, things like that, so that you can have a thorough perimeter security. And then the hub sits inside the business and is basically plugged into the network. And that appliance is in the router. All the cameras on the property then pair and stream to the hub, so that the cameras are basically streaming their video feeds through our hub, which the AI is analyzing in real time, again, prioritizing humans or vehicles. And then it'll basically send a feed to a guard when it's necessary, when there's a person on premises or a vehicle, where our guards can, monitor the situation and then interact or respond if necessary. Ultimately, the AI is there mostly to filter out false alarms and to get our guards' eyes on it as quickly as possible. At the end of the day, we do want that human intuition. We do want it to be a highly trained guard. Again, that's trained in body language recognition and in de-escalation techniques and all these things that you need, because at the end of the day, it is a judgment call. And at the end of the day, machines are fallible, and we don't want an AI to decide what's suspicious or not. So that's where the speed of looping in a guard comes in. And then you have the benefit of essentially having security guards with infrared vision all around the perimeter of your property to stop crime, break up trespassing, remove loiterers peacefully and professionally as well. So we protect residences as well as businesses. Now, our business service is targeted for after hours monitoring. So the way that works is you would basically set business hours within the setup of the application, and then our live guards are on duty essentially after those business hours. However, during the day, during business hours, our cameras do still wake up. They do still record events. You do still have all of that footage available to you of what was going on during the business day. And then you have that extra layer of live guards after hours for active threat prevention. Right, so as I mentioned, every stream is monitored by human eyes. The guards viewing the feed make the determination on whether or not the activity is suspicious. So most of the time, honestly, most of the time that activity is innocuous, right? The event will be marked as, a mailman coming through, someone dropping off a delivery guy from UPS, or an employee coming and going, someone locking up the business, a few minutes after business hours are off. Those things are all handled, normally, where the guard will come on. They're going to verify that event. They'll see, okay, it's just the business owner leaving. It's just someone dropping off a package. And then they're going to mark that as such, so that it did record the event. You do see the alert in the app if you go in there. You see it flagged as a green icon, which we'll show you in just a minute, where it'll show you that this was a safe event. And this was something that was non-suspicious. And then but if the guard does see something suspicious, they have the opportunity to interact with that person through the loud two-way audio. So every camera has 105 decibel two-way audio speaker on it. So they're very loud if they need to be. The guards will identify themselves. Depending on what they see happening, they'll either take a very professional tone. If it's someone obviously lurking or peeking in windows or trying to get in, they may be a little bit more aggressive to let them know that this is private property. They need to leave immediately. And then they can have a dialogue with that person to try to get them off of the property. If they don't, they can then turn every camera into a loud 105 decibel klaxon alarm, which is very effective at dispersing loiterers. If you have a large homeless population, for example, that tends to congregate around businesses, those klaxon alarms have a very good track record of dispersing that activity because they're extremely loud, they're extremely irritating. We do have a good success with the guards, kind of getting them to disperse on their own. But if they don't, that klaxon alarm surely does the trick 9 times out of 10. And then, of course, if they don't like what they see, if it starts to escalate and there's criminal activity going on, then of course our guards are able to loop in the police extremely quickly. But our goal is always to ease the burden on local police and not have to involve them in every single incident going on, which is why our guards, again, are trained in dispersing loitering, dispersing trespassing, so that we don't have to call the police more than is absolutely necessary. And our system is uniquely designed to be able to get those things done without having to involve law enforcement and kind of ease the burden on them, because you've got this system with these live guards that are there to get those loiterers or trespassers off the property in an extremely professional and efficient manner. This also prevents false alarms, right? So as I mentioned, I touched on previously, there are certain, especially in the Bay Area, like San Francisco, I know for one, they don't automatically respond to alarm signals anymore because of how high that false alarm rate actually is. Some of the ones that do, obviously some police departments, it varies. They can respond, or there may be very large fines for false alarms. This is going to prevent that from happening, again, because you have those actual trained eyes on the property, and it's the judgment call of the guard, and they're never going to call on a false alarm. They're only going to loop in the police if there's an active crime in progress. So it cuts down on any false alarm fees or lack of response, because again, you have someone talking through a crime in progress. So me telling you is all well and good, but I did throw this video in here to give you guys a firsthand view of exactly how this works. So this is actual real intervention footage that has been taken from around the country. You're going to see a demonstration of how our guards are able to get people off of the property, stop suspicious activity, and you'll even get an example of our AI deterrent, which I'll get into and explain after the video. So I'm gonna be quiet here for a moment and let you guys watch.
This is Deep Sentinel Security. You need to leave the property. The property is closed.
Hello, this is Deep Sentinel Security. Is there something I could help you with? It's private property.
I was just stopping to get myself situated.
Have a nice day.
Cameras and guards monitor this property.
Sir, this is Deep Sentinel Security. You need to leave this property immediately.
Deep Sentinel Security, sir. Is there something I can help you with?
Okay, so I want to touch on a couple of things we showed in that previous slide. One of the things you may have noticed is the one where it had the AI deterrent logo at the top right-hand section of the picture. What that allows you to do is that's an extra added layer to get people to stop coming on the premises or trespassing or loitering. The way that works is it lets you kind of set the system to take almost a zero tolerance approach after hours, where it'll flag the AI to basically automatically play a message anytime it detects human motion, where it'll announce that the property is protected, that it's private property, to give our guards a head start, to basically let them know that there should be nobody on this property after hours. And that's kind of how we handle that, right? You have the AI deterrent there that helps you with that zero tolerance approach, where any motion at all is going to trigger that recording and try to get those people to leave the property. And then, of course, if they don't, it loops in our guards immediately as well. Having the AI deterrent on does not prevent our guards from coming in to view the feed. It just gives them a head start. It should set the tone. By the time the guard comes in, they'll either have already heard it and are starting to walk away. If not, our guards will know that they ignored it, and then they can actually take more action by using the siren or talking them out of the property, again, verbally, right? So that's a good one. And you did hear the klaxon alarm a couple of times. So I think that video does a good job of kind of showing you what the capabilities are, specifically when it comes to loitering, trespassing, homeless population congregating on the property. And then, of course, anything beyond that, our guards are going to get a little bit more aggressive in terms of attempted theft or auto burglary. And touching on this slide here, that's one of the biggest differences with what we're doing and how we're delivering this product through Alvarez Technology Group locally, is that we are designed to do a lot more than just prevent burglary and breaking and entering, right? Which is what traditional alarm systems are there to do: door sensors, cameras. We are positioned around the property. We are there to not only prevent entry to the property, but again, to prevent loitering, vandalism, trespassing. Auto burglary and auto theft are a huge one, right? You point those cameras at the parking lot. You have a lot of cases where people are coming through, checking doors of cars to see if they're unlocked, and then attempting to, of course, steal the property out of that vehicle if they find it unlocked, or trying to force entry into vehicles if it's a dark parking lot. This solution, again, is uniquely positioned compared to everything else in the marketplace to actually stop that activity from occurring as well. So it's a lot more than just preventing burglary and robbery. It prevents all subsequent crimes that are outside the front door around the property as well. So let's get into kind of the actual product itself and the equipment. So we have two different product lines, and the product line that would work best for you is something that the Alvarez team can help you determine through a site walk, through a consultation. It really depends on the size of the property, the nature of the business, and the nature of the building as well. But we have the wireless cameras, which are, again, super fast streaming. They are two-way audio, just like everything else. They are designed for speed and usability. So these are wireless. They can be paired to solar units, or they can actually be paired with USB batteries to be plugged into outlet power, in addition to our normal standard rechargeable batteries that come in them that last 2 to 4 months. So there are various power options with the wireless cameras. I know a lot of people sometimes tend to shy away from wireless because they assume that they're going to have to be changing batteries too often. But with this system, it's not the case. Even if you opt for the battery packs, they do last 2 to 4 months. You always get an extra battery that charges in the hub, which you can see there in the middle picture. And then you can actually just rotate it around. When you replace a battery, you put that one in the hub. Takes a couple hours to charge, and you're good to go. So it's not a situation where you're changing batteries all that often. However, that being said, we do have the ability to plug it into solar panels so that you never have to change the battery, or actually go straight to outlet power, or with adapters to power over Ethernet if your building is wired for that. So there are other options to hardwire those cameras as well, and then the signal would just be carried wirelessly to the hub. We also have power over Ethernet wired camera setups, which are plugged in through network cable. Again, this is something that the group at Alvarez can actually help you guys determine what the best fit for you is. The wired network cameras, though, do come with a little bit of an increased functionality in terms of superior night vision. They do have Starlight color night vision technology. They also have the same two-way audio you'd expect from those video interventions and from the wireless cameras. They are a higher resolution, so these come in 2K and 4K resolution. And they come in multiple form factors. So you've got your bullet camera here, your standard, your dome camera, not a bullet camera, which you'll see next, but you have your standard dome camera. You guys have probably seen these around. Again, same capability, 2K or 4K resolution, Starlight color night vision, which I'll give you an example of here in a minute, and pretty wide 89 field of view. The biggest game changer is that night vision range, rated out to 160 feet. Which is done through pixel switching AI analyzation on our hubs. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that, but that's kind of our secret sauce. And that's kind of the benefit of the wired cameras, is that these give you a bit more range. So if you have a big parking lot, these can be a little better for that. Things like car dealerships, right? Or if you just have a long, fascia on your building that you want to be able to cover more ground on, these would do the trick for you in that situation as well. So it all depends on the application. In addition to that dome, you've got the bullet camera here, which is a little bit more of a traditional security camera setup. Again, these ones are only available in 2K resolution. They also have the Starlight color night vision, as well as all the same two-way audio and range that you'd expect from the wired cameras. The smart hub as well is plugged into the network at the location. Again, this is what I mentioned, that you have the AI on-premise in the hub that is actually analyzing those video feeds of all those cameras plugged in simultaneously. The PoE, or wired cameras as we call them, support up to 15 cameras per hub. And then they, again, have that same night vision range. That's how it's all processed within that hub on the AI. For instant alerts, app access, your app connects directly to your hub, and you're able to check on things. That's one thing that I should mention as well, is with this system, even though it is a live monitored system where our guards are protecting the property, you still have all of the capabilities that you would have on a self-monitored system. You can still look through and view live feeds of the property at any time. You can speak through the two-way audio speakers yourself if you need to. All of those things you'd expect from a self-monitored solution are there. All of the video clips are saved. You have access to them, but you have that extra added layer of quickly looping in live guards to protect the property as well. So last slide on the equipment is just a quick example of what the Starlight color night vision looks like on the high definition wired cameras. So as you can tell, it's not a black and white image. It takes any ambient light in the area and actually gives you a full color view of the night. In city areas, it is actually extremely impressive. We have some out there now that look honestly like they look like a cloudy day. The view of the footage from some of the businesses that are running it currently, even though it's the middle of the night, because if you're in a city area, there's plenty of ambient light from street lights and all kinds of things. And really, they say these cameras can run on star and moonlight. So when you have any additional ambient light from a city or surrounding area, it really, really allows you to get that clarity at night and a full color vision, which is why these cameras can see and detect motion so much farther out, because it's a color high def image at night as well. So if you go, to the app, this is kind of the UI that you're going to see. I'm going to talk you through this pretty quickly here. So what you're seeing on the left image there, the first thing there with the arrow, is the history of video footage. So you can scroll to the right, you'll see you have a history of roughly up to 90 days of footage. For example, the wired hub has 4 terabytes of hard drive space to keep this footage recorded. So you'll notice that green check mark icon next to that video footage. Now what that means is that this event, as we call them, was marked as non-suspicious. So if this was a business owner, an employee coming and going, this was a delivery guy dropping off a package, these are normal activities that are not considered suspicious. The guard will see that, they'll mark it as safe. You get an icon on the screen that shows you that it was deemed safe by the guard, but it's still there. Again, we try to target about 90 days worth of footage. They fall off after 90 days. However, if you do have to have a guard intervene with somebody and actually speak to them, talk them off the property, escalate the situation or intervene in any way, those are saved as yellow icons, meaning that the guard did have to intervene to what we call a security event on the property. Those yellow checkmark intervention footage, those are actually kept permanently in the cloud as well. So those are going to fall off the local hub memory after 90 days, just like everything else. However, you have access to them permanently because they're cloud saved. Same thing with if we actually had to involve law enforcement. Obviously, we try to limit that as much as possible through our guards, intervening and taking care of the situation. But if we had to, then that would be saved as a red clip. Those are also saved permanently in the cloud in case you need to refer back to them for evidence or litigation or what have you. You always have that available. I do like to touch on the privacy settings as well, which are featured in the middle picture there. Now, the privacy settings are pretty comprehensive. That's one question we get a lot of is, I don't want to, am I installing Terminator, Skynet on here? No, you're not, right? So anytime our guard is looking through the camera to view the property, not only is that clip saved for the length of time they were looking through the camera, but you'll actually see there in that left image, it actually says the name of the guard that viewed the event and marked it safe as well. So anytime a guard is viewing your system, you will know. You'll have a video clip saved, and you'll even have the guard's name available to you. In addition to that, you can set the system in privacy mode at any time, and that can be done at a snooze fashion where you can say, hey, snooze all the cameras and put them in privacy for 30 minutes, and then it automatically turns back on after that snooze time frame. I like that we do it with kind of a snooze methodology, because if you were just to turn it off and then you'd have to remember to turn it back on, if you forget, the property's left unprotected. But the way we do it is it lets you set a time frame all the way out to, I think, 9 hours. But it's automatically going to turn back on after that time frame so that you're not left unprotected until you remember, oh, I didn't turn that back on, and you go back in there. It just helps you, not stay unprotected. The privacy settings can be done individually per camera or for the whole system. You can set specific settings for days of the week, days of the year, holidays. It interacts very well with your business hours so that you have full granular control of when the guards are on duty, when they're not. That's entirely up to you. And then the rightmost screen, just want to highlight that AI deterrent. Now, the AI deterrent is, again, the automated response anytime we detect a potential threat, which is typically human motion, and you detect what the audio response is. It can be an alert tone. It can be a pre-recorded message like you heard in the video where it announces that the property is protected and it's private. There's a bunch of different settings that you have control over. You can go right at them with high volume or right away. You can start low, and if they don't leave, then the guards will escalate the situation. So again, you can set a schedule for when that AI deterrent is on, and the AI deterrent can be used for specific cameras. So if you only wanted certain cameras to have for sensitive entrances to be guarded, 0 tolerance with the deterrent, you have the control over that as well. So the name of the game there is just we give you granular control. And again, the group at Alvarez is there to help you guys set this up. They're there to help you, to configure the system and make sure it's working exactly how you want it. All your schedules will set up, and so on and so forth. So you can, have a very, very effective security system through the use of the perimeter cameras, knowing that we're here to stop any and all crime from occurring around the property.
Well, thank you all for attending. Appreciate your time, and hopefully you got some good information. And like I said, if you are interested in discussing further and getting a quote or proposal, we're here to help you out. Feel free to reach out. You all know how to get a hold of me. Take care.